Well, today I want to talk about those two lenses. Freewell did send me those and I tested them for a few weeks now. So the first one is this 1.7 telephoto lens. Comes in this nice leather bag or case, really well made, and is quite substantial. It is quite a lens. Has a metal lens cap and a rear cap as well. It's magnetic. So to show you this. So you probably don't lose this rear cap at all. And yeah, it's quite substantial, heavy, full metal, quite a bit of optic there. And it is in 17mm lens thread. So works perfectly fine with this Freewell case that I still use, but works with other cases or cages or adapters that have that 17mm lens mount. And just screw it in and that's basically it. Now it is a bit heavy, so most of the time I don't really use it without any grip or whatever. I could, for example, use this Freewell grip without the SSD even. As you can see, this is a bit more usable because of this heavy lens right there. But most of the time I'm actually using it in the Smallrig Cage because this Smallrig Cage works with any or most iPhone cases. And this is basically the only cage system that works that way. With most other cages, you have to remove the case that you use for your phone, and I really don't like that. And there you go. And that's how I use it most of the time, to have a little bit more grip, because also I'm using an SSD most of the time, even if I shoot H.264, but I'm using ProRes LT, not RAW most of the time. So I'm using this new SSD. Aiffro sent it to me. It is actually really nice, fast, small. Doesn't have any USB-C inputs though, but for a quick shoot, this is most of the time quite good. Comes with this USB-C angled adapter, but with this Smallrig Cage, and I will make a video about all this and all the setups that I'm using with this cage. I have to use this adapter in order to use the SSD because the USB-C port is quite in there. Yep, just like so. Now install this. It comes with this little strap there, and I usually secure the SSD onto the grip like so, just in case. And now I install this just like so. Now the interesting part about this is it has a 58mm lens thread in front, so you can use filters using this adapter ring here that I have on the really nice 15mm Viltrox lens, because it has the same lens thread, just like so. So now I have an UV filter, but now I can also use like an ND filter that I have from Freewell. It's a magnetic one, has an adapter, and now I have an UV filter. Or use this magnetic adapter that comes with the Smallrig ND filter, and now I have a VND on there as well if needed. Usually I don't really use that though. If I use a filter, then it's the ND from Freewell. And the real magic comes with diopters, and I have this diopter set, comes in this bag. This is a fairly cheap one, and it has like different strengths, 1 or 4 or 2. Usually I go with 2 or 4 depending on how close I want to get to my subjects, but most of the time it's 2. As you can see here, some random shots here in our studio because the weather outside is really bad. Cold, snow, storm, wind, rain, ice. Minus 15 degrees Celsius last night, and over the day it was like -8, so didn't go out. But with this, some magic is happening. You get like a little bit of distortions and a bit of character. It gets almost like an anamorphic feel to it. It is not perfect because they are not the optically best filters, but you really get some character in there, and you can get close with this telephoto lens on there. So yeah, get some diopters. I'm using those with other lenses as well. The only downside is though that you lose infinity focus, so it's really just for close-ups and for mid-range, so to speak. Anyways, you also could use this lens on the telephoto camera of the iPhone. I tested this and get even a bit more range, because the telephoto camera of the iPhone is not the best. I shot some stuff here at New Year's Eve, and you can see it's dark outside, and even the main camera kind of struggled, but the telephoto camera is not the best in low light. But with a little bit black and white and grain, it is artsy, I'd say. So this is 1.7, and so with the normal camera, which is 24, this gets like a 40mm look or field of view. So quite interesting focal length right there. And optically, this is really solid. It is a good piece of glass, so to speak. The other lens they sent me is a bit more special. It's a 6x telephoto lens, which is interesting. It comes with a lens cap right there, but also has a filter adapter. It's 43, but I don't have any lens adapters for that or filters in that size, but you could use filters for this. This is mostly usable on the main camera, also 17mm thread right there, but it's a bit odd, and you really have to focus with this lens as well. So you set your focus manually most of the time in the camera app, and then you have to focus with this. I tested it. You can also set it to infinity basically, and then focus with your camera app with autofocus, but sometimes it hunts a bit. It really depends on the light situation and what stuff you shoot. It's not really made for handheld. You really have to use it on a tripod. That's why I have this Arca Swiss adapter from Smallrig on there, and I put this on a tripod and it's okay. I have a few test shots here. I didn't use it that much. It's a bit too tight for my taste and optically not perfect in the edges, and sometimes it's a bit harder to focus, but it's nice to have, and if you really are into this, it can work. You also could use it on a telephoto camera, of course, but keep in mind you really need a bit of light. You kind of lose a bit light, I have to say. It feels like that, but it works as well, but you really have to use a tripod. And optically now this is even better than the 400mm cropped in version, at least in good lighting conditions. You get a bit more reach, because now it's not 4x like the crop from the 100mm telephoto camera, it's now 600mm. So it is closer, so to speak. But again, also focusing sometimes is a bit tricky. Peaking sometimes works, sometimes not. I really had issues with peaking in the Blackmagic camera app, sometimes with this lens. But overall, this is also a usable lens, as you can see in those images right there. So yeah, long story short, if you need a specialty, really long shot, this lens is usable. So I can't really compare this to other telephoto lenses with this range. But yeah, it's fine. But I really like this 1.7x lens. It is quite amazing, even though a bit heavy and a bit big. But I guess that's why it's optically that good, because they really use some good glass in there, at least as far as I can see that. I really like this, especially with the diopters. Again, everything is linked below. The case, the cage, handles, stuff like that, SSDs, the lenses. And yeah, if you have any questions about this setup or anything in this setup, let me know in the comments. If you have something that I should try out as well, other lenses or SSDs or whatever, also let me know in the comments. And again, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Back to work.